Welcome to Produce Talks.
This whole business is based on relationship and friendships.
Food is darn simple.
What can we do? What are other countries doing?
How important it is for industry to be talking about this.
We're going back to the farm. We're going back to the whole food.
Hi, I'm Wally Burns, the Education and Training Manager at CPMA. In this episode of Produce Talks, we listen to the recording of a learning lounge from the recent CPMA annual convention and trade show in Vancouver. Moderator Kevin Sorichetti of EarthFresh leads a discussion with 4 of our CPMA Passion for Produce alumni. These young professionals speak about their produce journeys, what motivates them, and what they can expect from their employer. Our panelists include Colbert Rahal of Oppy, Alexa Hambly of Gwillimdale Farms, Elena Pitsikoulis of Canadawide, and Jennifer Taylor of Loblaw Companies. You can subscribe to CPMA Produce Talks on Apple Podcast, Simplecast, Spotify, and on most other podcast players.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here, especially everybody wearing a red vest. Congratulations on a very busy week. Just before we get started, if you can't really hear me or the panelists very clearly, there are headphones in the back. You can see Jane waving around. Got a few there. So yeah, really excited to be here. My name is Kevin Sorichetti. If you don't already know me, and I'm excited today to talk about growing in produce with these 4 panelists, emerging leaders, attracting and keeping emerging leaders. So why don't we just get right into it? So young professionals are helping to change the perspective of business by introducing new approaches and solutions, openness to diversity and inclusion, and adaptability that can strengthen an organization. To attract and keep this new talent, companies need to understand their priorities and be ready to adapt if necessary. In this session, with these emerging leaders, we'll speak about their produce journeys, what motivates them, and what they expect from their employer. So before we get started, why don't we just kind of loosen up a bit, everybody kind of introduce themselves, what you do for your company, how long you've been there, and what you do for the organization. Since Colbert's right beside me, why don't we start over here, my friend?
Certainly. Hi, everybody. My name is Colbert Rahal. I'm with the Oppenheimer Group, or the short form Oppy. I've been working there for 13 years, and my present role is the Director of Sales for Canada.
Thank you. And Alexa?
Hi, everyone. My name is Alexa Hambly. I'm the Business Operations Manager at Gwillimdale Farms, but I'm also the 5th generation on the farm.
Thank you. Elena?
Hi, everyone. My name is Elena Pitsikoulis. I work at Canadawide. We're a wholesale company based in Montreal, and we've been around for 40 years. I am 3rd generation, and at the moment, I'm a lead. I'm a key account manager, and I also help with different projects in the company.
Excellent. And Jennifer?
Hi. Hello, everyone. My name is Jennifer Taylor. I'm the Procurement Director at Loblaw Companies Limited. Done a number of different categories over the years, but currently I'm the Procurement Director for apples, pears, and cherries.
Very good. Thank you. So why don't we stick on that end? We'll start with you, Jennifer. We'll make this way. We got 5 questions or so. Hopefully we can get through all of them, but we'll start on that end. So we're going to talk about what attracted you into the industry, what your expectations are, and what you value in your organization, and what you think makes your organization attractive to others. So in that context, maybe just tell us a little bit about your journey and to where you are today.
Okay, I'll just point out you asked 5 questions in one. So if I don't hit some of them, it's not intentional. So for me, I'll be completely honest. Anyone here that knows me knows I'm going to be open and honest and transparent. What attracted me to produce was proximity. So I was working in Brantford, Ontario. My best friend was working at Loblaw. She said, "Jen, you would really like it here. They're looking for more people." I put in my resume, and I got the job working at the Loblaw produce office. And I figured, I'll do a little bit of time here and then go to the big fancy schmancy office in Brampton. But I really loved the office. There's a great buzz. It was very interesting getting to see people so excited about fruits and vegetables. You'd see, we have a sample cart, and you'd hear the squeaky wheels of the sample cart going by, and then all the excitement because there was a new variety of grape coming in, or, oh my goodness, look at the length of the whites on these leeks. And it sounds crazy if you're not a produce person, but just being able to see the excitement that people get about fresh fruit and veg was very enticing for me. So I started, that was a data entry role. From there I went into procurement. So I started as an associate buyer, so very much a supportive role. From there, went into a buyer role on citrus, corn, and beans. I had 2 babies in that time, so that set me back just a little bit. Not back, but in terms of my career timelines. And then in the fall of 2020, I was promoted to procurement director at Loblaw, so also buying citrus. And then a year and a half ago, I had my big change going to apples, pears, and cherries. Yeah.
Congratulations. And how long have you been with Loblaw?
I have been with Loblaw for 13 years now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congrats.
So.
I mean, no pun intended. It sounds like you have a passion for produce, a real passion for produce.
I do, yeah.
But,
and I got to wear a vest 2 years ago, so
nice.
I'm looking at all of them and wondering how many of them slept in it last night.
Yeah.
Like Wally tells us to. So.
I think I still have mine from 2018, actually.
Yeah. Have you washed it?
No. You don't watch that thing. And how about you, Elena?
So I grew up in the family business. Actually, originally I had done my degree in psychology, and I intended to pursue psychology as a career path, but eventually I decided to stick to the family business. I started off as a sales assistant and made my way up to key account manager, and it's been great. One thing that I love the most about the business is the sense of community in the industry, and also with suppliers, customers. There's relationships that are built over 30 years, and I think it's very unique and special.
Excellent. Yeah, I think the Passion for Produce group, with how busy of a week you've had this week, I mean, I'm sure you can kind of relate a little bit how important networking is, and where that could really gear you towards in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But Alexa.
So similar story to Elena. I was born into it, so I wasn't attracted to the industry. But after high school, I did move out east for school, and I did not intend to be working in the produce industry. But I actually found myself working at a greenhouse, and every job I had was bringing me back to produce and vegetables. So I was like, why am I not just working with my family? So I came back in 2016, so I've been back on the farm almost 8 years. I started working and quickly realized we had a few gaps that I wanted to fill. I went to school for accounting and then quickly switched to HR. Finished HR, built the HR department through my co-op program in college. And then from there, I pursued project management, and now I oversee HR, marketing, some finance, legal, everything my parents don't want to do. So.
Wearing a lot of hats, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you. And my friend Colbert.
Thank you, Kevin. So, as mentioned, I've been with Oppy for 13 years, but I started in produce about 20 years ago. I know, hard to believe this face, 20 years, right? Anyway, I started at Gordon Food Service in inside sales, not really knowing what trajectory I wanted to go on, and there was an opening in the produce department. They were looking for someone who was willing to learn. So I put my hand up, got accepted, and I started my journey in produce there. And then I was able to get a job opportunity with Costco Canada, doing purchasing out of Ottawa for a few years. That's where I met my wife. And then coincidentally, she's from BC as well. We moved back, and then many years later, I was able to get married, have kids, somewhat happily ever after. And then out here is where I got a job with Oppy. And then just really worked my way up. Started as a sales assistant, sales rep, senior, etc. And then now, as long as they'll have me, I'm just currently the director of sales for Canada, just trying to get out of everyone's way.
Very good. No, I've personally known you for a number of years, and it's been awesome seeing the development through your career. So
thanks, man. It's mutual.
And it's pretty cool how you found love throughout produce as well, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You fall in love with the industry and the people.
There you go.
Right? Yeah, more ways than one.
Very good. Well, why don't we stick on this end? We'll head that way, and I know Jane will keep me posted on timing. But thinking about your colleagues and about prospective additions to your organization, Can you give us your thoughts on what makes an organization the type of place that not only attracts young professionals to enter the produce industry, but also makes them want to stay? Are there certain values that you think young professionals assess and expect an organization to demonstrate? Maybe 4 questions into one again, but
yeah. Well, I'm going to try and answer it with one word.
There you go.
Culture. I really believe in it. I have to give credit where it's due. John Anderson has been a huge advocate of culture. I think he was saying it before it was cool. And in that statement, it embodies so many different things. The common denominator is the people that you're with, but it's also the work ethic, the value of what you're doing, and now it's even transitioning in the culture space about what you're doing. The sustainability, the health. 20 years ago, I don't think produce was as hip and cool as it is now. I can still say that, right? Hip and cool. So I think now people are really interested in what they're doing and what they're representing, and they want to have a positive impact. They're interested in the culture of the company and what they're doing for the sustainability of things, the health of things, the public outreach. But I do think it's really one main thing that encompasses all of it is culture.
Yeah, very well said. Couldn't have said it better myself, for sure. I agree. Thank you. And Alexa?
I definitely agree. I think a big thing that our generation and the upcoming generations is looking for is the alignment with the company's values, mission, vision. So I think that's something that's really important. But speaking more on a grower level, on a farm level, I think the narrative is that, when you're on the farm, you're dirty, you're in a tractor, you don't do much else. But the innovation that's come to our industry in the last even 10 years has been absolutely insane. But we actually go into schools as well and just educate the high school students and let them know, you can be a farmer operating that tractor, but you can also go into food safety, marketing, sales, HR, finance. The sky's the limit, really, in this industry, and it's so diverse, and I think the opportunities are just endless.
Agreed. Thank you. Elena?
So I agree. Company culture is very important. Working at a family-owned business, the way we go about things is that all employees are like extended members of our family, and I think people appreciate that. Also, I think it's very important for young professionals to know that there's growth to be made in the industry and in the organization. So just passion for produce, for example, that was a big motivator for me when I was earlier in my career. So being able to do that and to meet so many people from the industry, that was a big motivation for me.
Excellent. Thank you. And Jennifer?
I think for myself, you did ask several questions in one, but the two that I remember were about attracting and then retaining. And I'd say from attracting talent, I think that's not somewhere where we necessarily struggle at Loblaw. The times that I've had to hire someone, there's been lots of good applicants. What's most important to me is the retention of good talent. And what I found is strong mentoring programs have been very important, opportunities for growth, being able to mingle and network at events like this. We have a pretty healthy travel budget for events like this so that, we can get colleagues out and get them involved and get them into Passion for Produce programs and things like that. And for me, that's the most important part is, going back to the culture piece, doing what you say you're going to do, but also living it. So, for me, that's where we stand out.
Yeah, very good. Thank you for that. Just as you start to get comfortable with the flow of what we're doing here, I'm going to switch it up on you and see if we're all good. But I really like this next question because I think a lot of the Passion for Produce members kind of alluded to it, during the mentorship session was work-life balance, really, right? So, there's a great deal of conversation around work-life balance right now, and let's face it, in our industry, there's a lot of buying, there's a lot of selling, growing, a lot of urgent stuff coming in, sometimes after hours, sometimes before hours, and sometimes it won't typically be that 9 to 5 job. So, how does work-life balance factor into your career, and do you think expectations in that regard have changed? And to throw another question in there, Jennifer, how does this translate into the way you, your colleagues, and your managers execute at work We'll start with you, Jennifer.
All right. Well, I'm going to say an answer that is not going to surprise Pam here. I just got back from the Women's Fresh Perspectives Conference through the IFPA maybe 2 weeks ago. And we have decided that work-life balance is a big no-no. It's work-life harmony. Because when you think about balance, if you're imagining a tightrope, that's a 50-50 split. And and that's just not the case, right? I'm a youngish mother of two. I have two kids that are 7 and 4. And for me, it's figuring out what the priorities are that day and knowing that they're going to change. There's days where, I'm not going to lie, there's 12-hour days, and there's other days where it's 8 hours, but I start at noon because I'm going to my son's field trip. And it's prioritizing and figuring out what are those things that you have to do that day, and not being afraid to put your hand up and tell your manager or whoever else it is that's going to be the priority for that morning or whatever it may be. So. Was there another part of your question that I'm...
No, I think you nailed it. And you know what? I'm a recent father of a 2-year-old, so I'm taking some piece of advice as much as I can.
And you know what? It's the flexibility from your employer it's so important, right? Yeah. Being able to put your hand up and do things like, not think twice about needing to take your son to a doctor's appointment. Right? These are the things that attract talent and keep talent, is knowing that work and life are in synergy with each other, in harmony.
Well said, for sure. Why don't we go over to Alexa?
Sure. This is definitely something I'm still continuing to work on. I definitely agree with Jennifer. I'm also a mother of 2 toddlers, so I've been able to figure out how to manage my time a little bit better in the last couple of years since I've had them, and that's been really useful, and just really being able to manage your day. But I also agree to the fact that I think if you're chasing the balance, that's part of the stress in itself. So you do have to find that harmony. I agree. Like this week, for example, it's all work and you're not home with your family, but sometimes you're going to have more opportunities to be with them. And I think the flexibility that an employer can offer to you is really, really important. And I think we will all just continue to learn from each other on that front, and it will just take it as we come. So
yeah, of course, well said. And Colbert,
sure.
What do you think?
Thanks, Kevin. Colbert here. So, I think
checking in.
Yeah, I just happen to be here. Michael on? Okay. So I really think with the work-life balance piece, it's going to change a lot depending on the department of what kind of business you're in. There's some you can work from home, there's some you can't. So I would say 2 words: moderation and results. From the moderation piece, as mentioned already, sometime you're going to have long days, long weeks, but mixed with the right results and you're getting things done, I think people should feel like, hey, I can take off a little bit early, spend time with my family, go do that doctor's appointment. So it's a combination of the 2. And if you can foster an environment where people can feel empowered to make the right decisions, you're going to empower that individual to do a better job for you. Thus, it's moderation, results, and that's kind of really wrapped up with the trust that they're going to do the right job at the right time.
Well said. Yeah. I like how you just break it down in a couple words and summarize it.
I'm very simple, Kevin. I have to. It's my only hope.
I know that about you for sure. And Elena?
So for myself, at the end of the day, we're all dealing with perishables, right? So it is hard to find that balance. But I think the most important thing for me is to be able to disconnect emotionally and mentally. So you separate the work life and then the personal life. So when you're with your loved ones, you're able to, be present and not be, consumed or preoccupied by work. I think that's a very important thing to be able to master in produce.
Very well, yeah. And sticking with you, Elena, just kind of leading into the next question, if you could make some recommendations to prospective employers beyond the typical offerings like salaries and benefits, what would you recommend organizations implement to attract and retain young professionals?
I would say ongoing training, even mentorship programs are very important. I think that's very good, especially for young professionals.
For sure. Yep.
Those are the 2 main things I would say that go beyond salary and benefits.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And Jennifer?
I had 4, and you've already spoken to 2, so thank you. The second or the third would just be strong on onboarding. Feeling like you're supported and you've got a good path set up for you as you join the new company. That and then one-on-ones as well. So with your direct leader, with senior leadership, having the opportunity to sit down with them and have that structured. And being able to learn from your leaders is a big deal for me.
Yeah, agreed. It's very important. And Colbert?
Well, it's a good question, Kevin. I think a lot of topics were nailed here, especially with the onboarding. I very much agree. I think there's also a fun component, and I think if we're going to be industry specific, I think produce, it's a work hard, play hard mentality. I know there's a lot of people who were at the late night after party. I can kind of see some people in the room, and the reality of the matter is that we have to have fun with our work. It will incentivize us to not just be part of this industry, but the business in which we are an employee of. And that can come in various shapes and forms through the industry events, but even more company specific. Have that softball game with the team, have a bowling night, reach out, have public outreach. Oppy does that, where we'll do volunteering at the Vancouver Food Bank, and just find ways to interact with people, sometimes outside of the workspace, to foster that fun culture.
For sure.
And I think that's a great way of retaining people, where you can say, had a hell of a day, hell of a week, everything went wrong, but hey, the people are great, the culture's great, and we're having a lot of fun still. I think that's how you can work on retention outside of the areas you described.
I couldn't agree more. Well, so what advice would you give, to those who are kind of looking for, how to have fun? Like, what kind of things could they do? Would it be encouraging their employer? Would it be, maybe starting something themselves to kind of create a spark? Or
It's a good question. I had 2 thoughts on it. I think there's a formal way of doing it, where through a business can have something that's sponsored. This is a sponsored night. Maybe the first round of drinks is on the company. Something budget friendly, of course, and responsible. But the goal is to get people together, because I think enough of us work in different businesses to appreciate there's silos in our business.
Right.
And sometimes it just takes a little bit of connectivity with someone who's down the hallway, and you can find out you have things in common, and then you nurture that line like that we've crossed over the years,
right,
Kevin, right?
Right.
With the business and pleasure aspect, and you get a personal relationship, and then it kind of blossoms from the culture in of itself.
Yeah, well said. I agree. And Alexa?
I would say for the attraction piece, definitely just continuing on with the theme of flexibility, offering those sick days, those personal days, especially, with the newer generations coming along with young families. Kids are sick all the time.
Yeah.
So just having that flexibility, whether it's working from home or taking half a day, full day, it's really useful to people. And then in terms of retention, it's already been said, but the training piece is really important. I know we offer a professional development plan, whether that's 3 months, 6 months, or even a year, just really laying it out for people to show what the opportunities are, and just having really clear expectations on what we need from them, what we expect them to learn, and how they can grow within our company or within the industry. I think that's how we've managed to keep people.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, I like the professional development aspect of it, and I know Jennifer touched on it earlier. I just think, with employers really selecting the emerging leaders, some in this room, applying for the Passion for Produce program, also taking business development programs, whether it's Toastmasters or whatever, it's excellent programs that are highly encouraged for sure. And just to wrap up the questions, 5 questions, based on your knowledge of how the produce industry functioned a generation ago, what do you think has been a positive change that makes produce an attractive career choice? We'll start with Elena.
From what I've seen so far, there's so many changes coming just with AI technology. Even now with the plastic reduction, there's so many changes that are on their way in our industry, and it's going to be so interesting to see how companies and the industry as a whole, they have to get creative with all these new things coming up.
Yeah. Well said. It's pretty impressive what we're kind of seeing in the pipeline these days, for sure. And Colbert?
how it's changed generationally is, I think, and specific in Canada, you could even say Canada and the US, the produce mix has changed a lot over the past number of decades. Used to be in 1 or 2 apple varieties. Now, Jennifer, there's a lot, right?
I have 17 right now.
Exactly. So with that change, I think creates more interest in the sheer variety of options of the products that we work with. And with that change, there's new opportunity with new technology, new work methods, because we were talking about the dirt and the farms and how it's a very hands-on industry, and we have an opportunity to be cutting edge. So you have, over the years now, what was, I think, once taken for granted, and in a way, compared to now, more linear. It's a lot more of a dynamic industry now, where there's more products from all over the world, new products being grown locally, various pack styles, and with all that variety, creates new opportunity and interest for this generation now.
For sure. Yeah, it's just forever expanding.
Absolutely.
For sure. Continuing on with the 17 apple varieties, why don't you continue on, Jennifer?
I think a couple things. If you look a generation ago, and I'll say a generation as in even 13 years ago when I started with Loblaw, you look at the mix of the people in the room and things are changing, right? Look at Canada and how our immigration has changed what we buy in our stores, our assortment. I think that's very exciting. And I think if I look a generation ago to now, you see more and more women getting interested in the produce industry. That's something that's very important to me. So yeah, I'd say that's probably the big one. And then second to that, just building off of Colbert's response, varieties, and it's fun. I find produce to be really fun. Veg wasn't as much, I apologize. But when I got into citrus, and we're talking about the difference between Moro and Tarocco oranges and the different veins of blood and blood oranges and things. It's so cool and it's so fun. And, the only danger is, I think, with your family. If there's one bad grape at Loblaw, I hear all about it. But, yeah, for me, it's the two. It's the dynamic changes in our population and how that impacts our coworker base, and then the fun of the varieties.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, there's definitely a lot of excitement these days that we're seeing in the produce industry and on the shelves. But before we wrap up this question, I just wanted to. I know we got maybe 3 minutes left or so. Just wanted to see if anybody in the audience had a question for our panelists. It'd be great to get maybe at least one. There we go. Awesome. Thank you, Lisa.
So I'm going to direct this one at Colbert, but everybody else is welcome to chime in because it's referencing one of the things that you said about building culture through activities, socialization. How do you walk that fine line between forced fun and genuine socialization and making sure that it's organic and doesn't feel like I have to go do this thing with work and see these people outside of hours?
Good question.
It's a great question, and I think that you balance that by providing options within that space. So I'll give you some examples. For instance, if I wanted to create a fun social atmosphere at work, I wouldn't make the only option to do it outside of work hours. I would also say, hey, you know what, we're going to do a block of time during the day. Maybe it's a couple hours. We do that at Oppy, bring in a food truck. Everyone tends to come and gravitate around it. So for the people that want to do that social, maybe during a break or a longer break than normal, you can do it there. Then there's certain people, maybe they don't have kids, or maybe their kids have grown up and moved out of the house and they can afford a Friday night out. So it's something that it's a bit of an egalitarian play, something that kind of works for everybody, but you have to do it. You can't be lazy, right? You can't just, everyone's got to go bowling, or everyone's got to do this one thing. But talking about varieties, variety is the spice of life. So if you have enough of it, you can probably find that right secret sauce that'll work for everyone. That's what I would do.
Yeah, well said. I do like how, it could be as simple as just a food truck showing up and anybody who wants to go ahead, but it's not super formal or anything.
Right. Yeah. Maybe have some fries, right?
Yeah, some French fries and beer, but maybe not the beer. But before we continue, is there any other questions that we could head to our panelists with?
Since there's not, I just want to draw everybody's attention to the fact that all of these people you see in front of you are all former Red Vesters. They're the former Passion for Produce. And so we really appreciate that we've seen them grow so much in their careers already. Looking forward to great things from those of you wearing the red vests here today. And really appreciate that. Look at, here you are now, sitting out in front and helping to guide your colleagues. So really appreciate that.
Thank you, Jane.
Thanks, Jane.
Thank you. Very good. Well, I think that concludes it, unless any of the panelists, any last comments?
I'd like to call it a thanks to Kevin for doing all this here. So thanks to Kevin.
Yeah.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. And to the listeners, thank you for listening. Remember, you can subscribe to Produce Talks at Apple Podcasts, Simplecast, Spotify, and on most other podcast players. Until next time, fill half your plate with fruits and veggies, continue to seek out new knowledge, and basically never stop growing.